Welcome to the Break Free podcast with David Mansilla. Today we have with us an amazing, very inspirational person. I met him a couple of weeks ago, actually about a month ago, right? And I feel like I know him all my life. So, Satyen Raja, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here. It's a pleasure to have you in the podcast, and I know a lot of people are going to get blessed by the wisdom inside that beautiful head of yours. Welcome.
Thank you. Well, David, I very much appreciate who you are right from our initial connection, feeling the rich man of heart, presence, and brilliance that you are. So I'm looking forward to our share today.
Wonderful. So, brother, let's go back to the beginning. Maybe if you can introduce yourself. What do you do right now, and where do you live?
Yes, I'm in British Columbia, near Vancouver, a beautiful town called Langley, BC. And, I'm a founder of various companies. And my main focus is right now, I work with leadership. So I'm a mentor and a guide, if you will, to founders, CEOs who are up to doing good in the world with their businesses, who are yearning for self-realization, self-actualization. They've come to a place where success, they know what success means in the way of the world, but are yearning for a type of inner freedom, a type of spiritual evolution, a type of life evolution that takes them into a whole new dimension of freedom. And then from that, if you will, new vista, that new space of being, to guide their companies, their lives in a much more fruitful, spacious, easeful way of being. So that's the essence of my work. I help people come onto the journey of what I call the warrior sage, to bring out the best elements of the spiritual warrior, as well as to awaken the sage, the inner wisdom, the heart, the love that we have in ourselves.
Beautiful. And brother, we need a lot more people like you in the world, especially for successful entrepreneurs. We have this crazy thought that making money is all that matters when you're an entrepreneur, and that's just part of your life. But if you focus your entire life into just the fact of making money and accumulating more wealth, you're going to end up very depressed and very unfulfilled. Right?
Absolutely. We've seen this, right? You and I, we've experienced this. We've seen this in our circles. We've probably experienced it ourselves, right? At the height of one of my companies where I was traveling all around the world, like Tony Robbins, and giving lectures, it was the height of my egoic power, if you will, making lots of money, making a splash, being famous and all that. And it had its value and virtue, and I gained a lot from it. But there was also a shadow side that I recognized. And it wasn't until I had a near death. I almost drowned years back. I was at the height of my one of my companies, Warrior Sage, giving seminars, and then at one of the retreats I was giving in Hawaii, I almost drowned. And it was purely out of my ego. I was pushing myself. I'm macho. I'm going to show how strong I can be against the elements. And you know what? You can't fool her. Mother Nature, the divine, can
Wow.
take us out any moment. And I was blessed to have this miracle that I survived. And from that experience, I recognized I had a slap in the face and in the soul. I came to recognize what you just said, that the continuous external accumulation of wealth, fame, by the external standards, I had it all, but at a soul level, I wasn't nurturing my own wife, my own family. And so I dismantled all of that. And I came back to, hey, let's start investing back into my family, my relationships. And I have to tell you, it's the best thing I've ever done. I'm the richest man I could ever imagine I could be, because now wealth is multidimensional.
Right.
It's not just financial.
Yes, and for the audience, there is nothing wrong to actually aspire to have tons and tons of wealth in your life, as long as you do it in a way that is also fulfilling your spirit, so that the spirit and the abundance has to be in both parts. The problem is we focus only on the material abundance, the 3D world abundance, and we forget about our inner self, and we forget about who we really are, and where do we really come from. And then when the spirit starts to suffer, your entire system starts to suffer, and all the people around you starts to suffer, right?
Well, I really believe in this idea of alignment, alignment, coherence. It's a term that's bantered around a lot. But with what? What are we in coherence with? What are
Right.
we in alignment with? And I believe this is the essential question that you posed, I'm posing. And if we look at some of the greatest entrepreneurs of our day, you look at Richard Branson, who's managing who knows how many companies, with a cocktail in his island, sitting back in a relaxed way. To me, that is an ideal
Yes.
vision of who we can be, that we do not have to be burned out. We don't have
Yes.
to constantly be burning the candles at both ends. We don't have to die in some virtuous way trying to prove to our mother, father figures that, look, I'm working hard, love me, do I deserve? Much of our unconscious impulses to be successful are actually rooted in lack,
Mhm.
are actually rooted in deep psychology where we feel a lack inside, we don't feel whole inside. So we do things on the outside to fill that. But even when we achieve the outside, that internal machine keeps going because it hasn't been fulfilled at a soul level. So I believe this is the time where, and I know this is something very close to your heart, that connecting to spirit, whatever that means to each person, everyone has their own relationship to something that's the depth, something that brings them wholeness,
Mhm.
something that gives them a sense of there's more to the world than just this 3D world. This is the biggest inquiry of us entrepreneurs of this day, I believe.
For sure. So I'm very interested about your almost drowning story. Can you go into a little more detail about that? What happened? You were swimming in the ocean or something, or?
I was leading a couples retreat with my wife
Mhm.
of leaders, business leaders. So my wife and I, we've been together many years. And one of the things we've seen is that um, CEOs, leaders are really yearning to also cultivate their family, their relationship life. So we had this beautiful retreat on the big island of Hawaii. And in the middle of the retreat, I had taken the men, we were at this beach, and I had put out a challenge. I was in my ego, and I said, hey, let's see how far we can swim. And this is tough waves.
Oh my God.
And I was and I was challenging myself, and I went to this, and I went further and further, and I got caught up in the water. And see, not only did I endanger myself, I endangered my brothers who came out to help to rescue me.
Right.
I put others at risk out of my ego.
Yeah.
And then in that moment, I was tossed around in the waters. I was pushed against these rocks, lava. I was tossed around for a good half an hour where I was literally almost lifeless. And then I just surrendered. I tried everything. There was one time a wave came and pushed me against some lava rock. I grabbed it. Lava rock is extremely sharp. It's hard to imagine how sharp. And, I do martial arts. So as I was grabbing, I was holding on as tight as I could on the back wave. It, it took me off like nothing. And I realized if that was the greatest strength that I could do to survive, and it's now gone, I have to surrender. What else is there? And in that moment, I surrendered to spirit, to God, to truth.
Wow. So you were basically gave up. You were done.
I was out there for at least 40 minutes, splashing, trying to survive, getting caught up in undercurrents, coming up for air. And then I was thrown against rocks at times. Um, and then what had happened was when I surrendered, I let go. I realized I have nothing left in me. All the bravado was kicked out of me. All the ego was snatched out of me. I'm laughing now, but back then it was the most sobering thing I could, I don't know what to say. And then by grace, this huge wave came. Another wave came behind that and pushed me all the way back to the shore out of nowhere.
Wow.
My
Incredible.
wife was there, my students were there, my team there, and I was just broken. And then there was no mind. There was just this feeling of the preciousness of life. And then I got a message that I must orient my life around what's most valuable, only the most important things. And then I had this vision. We hear about the wheel of life. And then one of my mentors had taught me about his version of the wheel of life. Very simple: faith, family, finance, fitness, and fun, joy.
Yes.
So I was focused on finance and business and reputation and significance. And then I realized that I needed to come into equilibrium. I had to transcend the old paradigm of success that I got from my parent, my father, his lineage of business people, and recognize it must be something more now. So that's when I went on a journey to deepen my spiritual life and then to bring my life into equilibrium. And I must say, it wasn't an overnight. It took me, a couple of years. And then what happened was, and I was fearful. How can I dismantle this multi-million-dollar organization? What should I move into? But with that faith, with that knowingness that came to me, with that support, divine angelic support, I came to recognize that if I trust that knowing, that equilibrium would happen. And it did. My family life became reinvigorated. My children started being happy that their dad is home. My wife, we had our love affair got rejuvenated. And then I started realizing, okay, now rather than just focus on my reputation significance, who are the leaders on the planet that I can support their significance, their reputation, so that they can become the best, if you will, instruments for the greater good.
Beautiful. And it's funny because as you told me, you were trying to save your own life until everything got taken out of you, and then you finally surrendered. And by surrendering, the ocean took you back. You didn't have to do anything. It just took you back, and you were back safe to shore. Same thing in your life, right? And so in your business life, same thing. You trusted, you let go, and look at the result. And this happens to me all the time, brother. I have this, like you said, warrior mentality where I must control everything. Everything must be done the way that I think it should be done. And the more I try to grab a hold of something and control it to have an outcome that I expect, the worse it becomes and the more stress I bring into my life. So lately, especially this year, 2021, I've been in a transformation since 2013, but especially 2021, I'm just letting go. I'm trying, I'm allowing myself to be surprised by the unknown. And it's beautiful. It is beautiful.
Well, Manny, that's beautiful to hear, brother. I'm so happy to hear that and feel that, because all our friends are yearning, going, I'd love this. I would love to feel what these brothers are feeling. It is a risk. There is a risk, and the risk is letting go of our, as you said, the grip, the excessive grip of control. Especially as men, we like to control things. Alpha men, breadwinners, earners, entrepreneurs, leaders. We have that natural desire, and I think that's good. We should not make that bad or negative, but we can connect that force to our heart, to our soul, not just keep it in the mind. Drop it from our ambitions here to feel, what is the ambition, the yearning in my heart, in my gut, in my soul, in my community, in my society. And I believe that we are entering a new age. 2021, 2020 has shown us that and given us the opportunity. Mother Nature has given us go to your room. The whole world, go to your room.
Yes. Time out.
Time out. Contemplate what is important now. And I think this is really what is important now. And from what I've seen in this year, I'm blessed to mentor. There's a few companies, there's 10 companies that I mentor and their leadership teams and their CEOs. And those companies, each one of them has had one of their best year ever.
Wow.
Applying, and it wasn't at the way at the beginning. There was panic, nervousness, overwhelm. How do we pivot? All of the crazy mayhem that so many of us entrepreneurs had to experience at the beginning of this COVID affair. And politics and all of this, right? The uncertainty. I believe that it is us spiritual entrepreneurs, warriors, sages, who are here to establish a higher order of frequency, of resonance, of how to do business that is regenerative, sustaining, Omni win. It wins for you. It wins for me. It wins for our families. It wins for our communities. It's not just your win, not just my win.
Yeah. And
And it's not
also,
about
and it's
crushing
also
it.
in coherence with the environment too, right? Not harming our
Yes,
environment, but actually making it better, right?
this is the ultimate. I feel more than just responsibility. If we can take it on as a joy to even ask, how as I, as a business leader, can contribute to the greater whole,
Mhm.
and asking that in a genuine, authentic way, and then what message comes up from within or from spirit. If we listen and we just listen 10%, grace will give us so much more
Yeah.
than we can ever imagine in our own mind.
And I completely agree with what you're saying is bring that, that desire of create from your brain to your heart, because it's also when I'm saying I'm letting myself surrender to the unknown and being surprised by the unknown. I don't mean don't get me wrong, it's not about not doing anything, because it's
No.
not about being a lazy ass, right? It's about generating what you want to generate, but not only with your brain, also with your heart. And then once you put your effort, let go and see what happens with beautiful expectancy,
I love that.
right?
I love
It's
what you just
so
shared.
not to get confused by the audience, right? It's like always like, I'm a hippie
No,
and
it's not
all I
about
do is do
becoming
weed,
a
right?
hippie.
No.
It's not about becoming a hippie sitting back on the beach
Yeah.
doing nothing and everything's going to show up. No, struggle is effort that's laced with negative emotion. I believe we need effort. We want to study, we want to grow our business, grow our life, grow our relationships. We need to add effort.
Definitely.
But struggle is the extra emotional baggage we add to effort, which burns us out, exasperates us. And usually the struggle mentality are deep imprints that we've got from society, from our lineages, from from perhaps not the most enlightened versions or imprints of success.
Mhm.
But now we're in a very powerful time, I believe, that we can recreate our own, on our terms, based on how we want to live life, rather than comparing ourselves to others. Because what's the ultimate point of an entrepreneur is to have freedom to do what we want, when we want, how we want, to enjoy life the way we want on our terms. And I believe we can do that now in a much more enriched, conscientious, soulful, and integrated way with the whole.
Beautiful. And it's true. We don't want money. We want freedom. At the end of the day, we don't want affluence and fame. We want freedom. That's all.
You
Right?
know, for me, the purpose of money is to purchase life experiences.
Yes. That's all it
So,
is.
yes, have abundance, create abundance financially, right? But what is it for? Is it for the numbers in your bank account? Is it for some egoic pride check mark?
Mhm.
Is it so that you can let people know I'm a millionaire, multimillionaire? Is it so that you can appease your father figure, mother figure to say yes, whether they're alive or past? That look at me, I became somebody. This is not the highest way or the deepest way to attain our goals. We can. One of the things in my work I share a lot about is, and you shared it beautifully in the releasing, letting go of the outcome. I
Mhm.
call it lowering importance.
Lowering importance.
Yes, the Zen masters, the Buddhist masters, the Taoist all these masters always talked about when you find yourself excessively worked up, tense, it means that we've attributed on some level far more importance to something than perhaps we need to invest importance. And if, just like if you turn down the bass or treble or volume on a stereo, if you can turn down the volume around your importance about making the deal, making that number, paradoxically, the lowering of importance makes you more streamlined and allows you attain the goal quicker, faster. And many times it just shows up at your door because now you're not forcing, now you're inviting by the lowering of importance.
Beautiful. And it happens to me all the time. I run a successful software company, and we're based on projects. We build these beautiful platforms for people to grow their profits. And sometimes I'm so focused in this one prospect, for example, that we've been trying to close for 6 months, to give you an idea. And then it's like, let's try to get it. And then we finally force our way into getting this client. And then 2, 3 weeks inside the job, we realize we're not a good match. All the efforts are meaningless. And then because we did all this effort, I'm still forcing to keep the client, right? And so by doing that, because I have, I am a power, I think I'm a powerful entrepreneur. I influence enough my client to actually keep going, which means that now their team is messed up. My team is messed up. We are not compatible. There's nothing wrong with each other. It's just our cultures are not the same, or we're not in the same level of awareness. But by forcing it, I make everybody mad. And then I finally realized, okay, you know what? I need to let go. So we make pieces, everything is fine. We go each other's way, and now I have a big hole in my bank account. But I let go, and when I let go, something beautiful happens. And usually there is 2, 3, 4 more clients that just lands in my lap, and that we actually are compatible, and it was effortless to get them, and they were prospering together. But if I would have kept this client, it would have just drained all my stress, all my resources, and I wouldn't have enough resources for these other clients, right? So I'm
You know,
learning. So
and
when this happens
who
next
has
time,
not
right?
experienced this? We've all, right? This is beautiful. What you've just shared is the essence. This is the essence for me of wisdom, The what I've discovered is this excessive control energy mindset. When you shared about letting go, loosening the grip of control, lowering the importance, what I found is that switches on an internal switch of synchronicity. The more we have a grip of control, synchronicity goes down. The more we relax and open up, synchronicity turns on. And so now, not with just the sweat of our brow or our muscle or our force as an entrepreneur, as an influencer, as a speaker, as a deal maker. Now the force of synchronicity, which is far bigger than our individual self, comes in and helps arrange steps, people, opportunities that are in this aligned relationship rather than forced relationships, as you talked about, that are not compatible or congruent.
Beautiful. Uh, Quick question. Let's go back until you were a teenager. Where were you at 19 years old?
That's a great question. So I grew up in an entrepreneurial East Indian family, hardworking family in Ontario, Canada, in Brampton, Ontario. And at 19, I was a shiatsu therapist, acupuncturist. So I went to shiatsu college, which is like acupuncture without needles, like massage school, but using the Japanese form of healing. And then I was a teacher in Kung Fu. So I was teaching at my teacher's Kung Fu school.
So
I
you
was,
so you so you studied kung fu during your childhood then, or
yeah, I started when I was 12.
that's amazing.
Yes. So I started when I was 12. And then by the time I was 19, I was a full-fledged instructor in the evenings. And I was doing shiatsu therapy in the daytime. And what was interesting at that time was I was, and then I just started deepening my relationship with my wife, Suzanne. So
Also,
we've been
you were
together.
dating already.
Yes, we just started dating recently.
Wow.
And she has been a miracle in my life, because to have a strong feminine woman who loves me for who I am, but at the same time takes no bullshit with my, if you will,
Yeah.
ego, is very powerful. I don't always like it, but I love it.
Yes.
And but this is where I was in that part of my journey. And I was, how can I say, I had a deep thirst for God and truth and to make a difference on the planet. And I was doing my best at that time, doing shiatsu and teaching martial arts.
Wow. So what did you do after that? Did you end up going to college, or you just kept growing those two
I
practices?
kept growing that, and eventually I had my own school, and then I opened up schools. And then I went into many other forms of therapy, psychotherapy, training, development. I've always had a voracious appetite for studying the human condition.
Mhm.
So since then, I've been studying and learning from great masters, teachings, trainings, certifications, and in many modalities. And then I went on to open up a series of hypnotherapy centers, and then I became a franchisor of a series of hypnotherapy centers that went across Canada. And so I
Wow,
franchised about a dozen of these centers across Canada.
amazing.
And so that was the start of my larger scale entrepreneurial journeys. And then it was 21 years ago that we founded Warrior Sage Trainings, where I took all that I had learned in human potential, consciousness, self development, self actualization, relationship, shamanism, tantra, and then business mastery. And I created a whole path called the Path of the Warrior Sage for modern day spiritual warriors who are business leaders. Yeah. So that's
So,
been going now for 21 years.
so you started coaching since 21 years ago. You started actually
Yes.
coaching entrepreneurs.
Yes.
What happened with your franchise operations?
I sold that, and my family still runs two centers in Ontario. So I
Oh, that's
gave those to my brother and my father, which they still run two successful centers in Mississauga and Brampton, Ontario, called Alive and Free. And then I moved to BC. I had a feeling, I had a calling to have a new start in this beautiful land, and and so my family moved out here.
so. Were you married already when you decided to move?
Say it again.
Were you married already when you decided to move to BC?
Yes. Yes.
Because that's not easy. Especially like for my wife, we always wanted like we love Vancouver or even going down south, and it's not easy. Once you have roots, it's hard to leave, right?
You know, we had deep roots in Brampton. I love Ontario, Canada, right? This is where I grew up. I met my wife in high school. I have my Kung Fu school there with hundreds of students. You know, I taught a dozen black belts over the years.
Wow,
Over many of them took, all of them took at least 15 years of study with me to become a black belt.
wow.
Some of them 20 years. So I had a deep roots there, and I still go. We visit a few times a year. It's very close, but you know, I had a sense that sometimes you have to let go of the known, the A to Z. By that time, I was doing everything with my eyes closed. I could run all those operations, but my soul, and one of my mentors challenged me. He said, Satyen, you're suffering while you're waiting.
Mhm.
He says, you're a good entrepreneur, this and this. By the world's look, other people around you, you're the big fish in a small pond, no problem.
Mhm.
But now, are you willing to let go of being a fish in any size pond and just be a man of service?
Mhm.
And I had that calling, and basically we sold everything we had in Ontario, and we moved to BC, and we've never looked back. But it was a risk, but I had a strong wife behind me. So I'm very blessed to have that.
Beautiful. Any children?
I have two young adult children. My daughter, Satori, who's moved back to Toronto. She
Oh,
loves
good.
Toronto, hustle, bustle. We live in the country, right?
Right.
She loves the fanfare and the aliveness of Toronto. And our son, 22 now, Shaman, he still lives with us at home. And he's a wonderful chef and also a very powerful martial artist.
That's amazing. Do you still practice?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's been my core of study for 40 years now. You know, it keeps me honest. Right?
Definitely.
And right now my main study is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I've been at that now for about a decade.
Oh, wow. So you left Kung Fu to Brazilian Jiu Jitsu,
I've been immersed in Kung Fu for 30 years.
right?
So it was very strong in me. And I really, when I saw these UFC and I learned about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I felt I was ready for my next evolution.
That is amazing, amazing, amazing. I always been attracted to martial arts, but I only did a couple of years when I was a teenager, and I loved it. Now, behind a very successful person like you, there is always the daily habits. I truly believe what you do constantly is what you become. So tell me, what are your daily habits from the time that you wake up until you go to bed at night? Like, how can you keep yourself so zen, so stress free while adding massive value to the world?
That's a really great question. Well, the first thing that I do in the morning is now I have a separate room from my wife.
Really?
This is one of the things, yes. And we call this the practice of polarity creation. Polarity meaning evoking our masculine and feminine energy. Because if you take two magnets and you keep them together, after a while, the magnetism will diminish. So we've cultivated this ritual where in the evening, she goes into her goddess room, very beautiful, feminine, lush, colorful, sensual, sexual, really gorgeous. My room, on the contrary, is the opposite, very stark, simple. I have my altar, wooden floor. This is it, nothing else. And I like that simplicity. It allows me to defragment my day. It allows me to go into simplicity. So in the evening, we go to bed, but we give our bow, hug, kiss. Now, sometimes, if I'm a lucky man, she'll invite me to her room, but it's not a habit.
That's amazing.
Right? It's like I have a date with my wife across
Right,
our in between is a library, a den, right?
right.
So once in a while she'll invite me, and that's a beautiful and special occasion rather than automatic. Then in my sleep, I do my prayers, I give my gratitudes, I overview my day. What am I grateful for? What are the wins, the learnings, the insights? And I use a warrior, actually a warrior tradition from Mexico, from the Toltec warriors there. And that's, I start with my head looking to the right, with my eyes closed. And I start with the where I'm at right there. So if it's 10 p.m. there. And then I go backwards from right to left as if I'm seeing my day going backwards. And then I stop wherever I see, oh, there was a call, maybe with David, it was good, okay? But maybe there was an interaction I had with someone it wasn't spot on. I will correct that. I will see, how can I be more wise in that situation? How could I be more conscious? And in my mind, I'll see that going in a new way. Then I go all the way back to the beginning of the day.
Beautiful review.
So it's a life review every day. Then in the morning, I'm clear. I'm not taking any of the baggage, the remuneration, the worry, the stress. I let it go at night. So I wake up fresh. Now, when I wake up fresh, I will do I have a workout routine I go through with bands and such. I'll do prayer and meditation in the morning.
For how long do you meditate for?
It's open. I don't have a set time, but usually it's about 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And in that is my prayer and meditation. I combine a sense of connection and openness, prayer, and then I just be in that state of being and allow what emerges to emerge. But as you said, instead of surrender at the end of the day, I start surrendering now. My ambitions, my dreams, what arises. Then I'm free. Then I'm like, okay. So then I will start my day from a place of quietude. I will look at what are my priorities, and I always take care of priorities first. The big rocks first.
Get it out of the way as soon as
Get
possible.
it out of the way.
Yeah.
Don't delay. Get the big things, the most valuable, the most opportune connections, calls. Get that done by 10, 11 a.m., 12 maximum. Then spaciousness. And now my schedule is, it took me time, but now my schedule is my own. I only work 4 days a week in a very concentrated way.
Mhm.
So I work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Sometimes mostly 3 days. Monday, sometimes I'll have some spontaneous meetings, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, go very focused
Mhm.
so that I have more spaciousness. Now, when I've done this, I used to fear, how am I going to be as productive? The opposite happened.
You are more productive now.
Far more. Because now I know I have this time. I'm going to use that time. I'm not going to let myself get distracted or meander. I'll bring my full focus and attention.
Beautiful. I started doing that too. I don't allow my PA to book my time from anywhere except from 11 a.m. until 5 p.m.
Beautiful.
So that's my productive time. 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's not that I'm not working the other times, but what's happening there is that I'm preparing, I'm investigating, I'm researching, I'm spacious, like you said, right? And
Yes.
same with you. On Fridays, the whole day is booked off for that same reason. And then anything that comes in as an emergency, then I have the Friday to take care of it if it's necessary. But I try not to have emergencies, right?
I love what you just shared. The other thing is, I know my propensity for being saying yes to a lot of people.
Yeah. Yes.
I
Because you
love
love
saying
talking with
yes.
people, the same as me. Yeah.
I love people. I love interaction. I love making connections. Even if I don't gain business out of it, I love seeing people connect and gain business and support with each other. It's a joy to me. So one of the rules I have for my personal assistant is I tell her, even though I'm the leader, you're going to boss me around with my time at times, which means your job is to protect me from overscheduling
From yourself. Yes.
of myself. And if I say no, it's a must, I'm giving you veto rights to make sure that my time is sacred and protected.
Yeah.
And so it's nice to have that extra help in a jovial, fun way. But then she knows, I'm going to help protect Satyan's time. Is this person someone he really needs to talk to?
Yeah.
Can he wait next month? This person is an opportune person. Let's make that meeting this month.
Yeah.
So I work in conjunction with the feminine wisdom she has to balance and to fill out my gregarious, let's make things happen side.
Yes. Beautiful. No, it's for me has been instrumental. Now I want to take Mondays too.
Come join me in BC. We'll do something on Monday. We'll go to the
Yes, one
park.
thing at a time, right?
Yes.
Oh, Sajid, who taught you how to meditate? Where does this practice comes from?
There's a particular form of meditation that I've pulled together from all the work I've been immersed in over the years. And I call that accelerated evolution. And what I do, it's a particular meditation that I call universal meditation. And what I look for is, what are the antagonistic dualities that are in my consciousness, such as I deserve, I don't deserve, wealth, being wealthy versus being spiritual. We tend to have these opposites in the background of our mind that are fighting. So I look for, what is the opposites I see in my mind this morning? Okay, I hate politicians. I love it. Whatever, right? Whatever, something that's capturing me, news that makes me feel little angry, a little upset, or a little tension. I always look for the opposite. Oh, I feel unworthy or I feel down. Okay, what's the opposite? And then I contemplate going back and forth from one side to the other side to the other side. And after 2-3 minutes, what happens is the opposites become one. And this meditation, yes, the opposites go away and you go into a state of deep harmony. Anyone can try this. So try this. Find something that's you have some opposition to. Contemplate one for 15-30 seconds. Then feel what would the opposite of that be for 15-30 seconds? Keep going back and forth. And after like 2-3 minutes, both will have no power. And then you'll be in a state of relaxation. You'll be in a place of deep meditation. You'll be a place of peace.
Yeah,
So
neutrality.
that's one of the methods I use. I
You cancel
wanted to
each
share
other
with you.
out, right?
Yes, exactly.
Beautiful. Sajjan, I know your time is super valuable. I want to thank you so much for being in this podcast. You have enlightened the minds of the people that are willing to listen, which, by the way, if one person listens to this podcast, for me, is a huge success. But I know there is many, many more people that will listen to this. So thank you for being here. One last question. If you had a billboard in the busiest highway in the world, what message would you put in there?
Mm. there's one thing, there's a question I ask. You asked, what do you start your day with? Here's my warrior sage inquiry. And the inquiry would be, what must I do to live, love, and die complete today without regret?
Beautiful.
What must I do to live, love, and die complete today without any regret? That's my invitation, my personal challenge, an invitation to the depth of who we are and what we're really meant to be here for.
And it's beautiful because it's every day, and you're right. Once you have that question in your mind, you're gonna guide your subconsciousness to actually do what matters, so that if your life is taken today, you go in peace. Oh, this is profound, brother. If people want to find you online on the internet, how do they go find about
They
you
can
and
come
your
to warriorsage.com, and I have wonderful programs there, audio downloads, interviews, podcasts, and much a library there to be able to absorb many of these teachings. And that's at warriorsage.com.
fantastic, Sajim, brother?
Uh,
Blessings. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll see each other pretty soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, brother. All my love to you and all who are listening. Be well.
Cheers.